Okay guys, we're going to start talking about percents today. Previously you had worked with the proportion, which you can still use. Today we're going to talk about the equation, so you can use both forms. Remember, for your proportion, the number that goes with is goes on top, of goes on bottom, your percent goes on top, and because a percent is a special proportion out of 100, 100 would go down on the bottom. Okay? So the percent equation is another way to find a part of a whole quantity by multiplying the whole, which let's use our color for our whole over here, as a decimal. Okay, so we would take our whole, which you're going to look for the word of. That's what's going to tell us what our whole is. Our decimal, our percent, we're going to multiply that to our whole, but we're going to write that as a decimal. So again, we're going to move the decimal 2 spaces left to make it into a decimal. Okay, so wherever our decimal point is on our percent, we're going to move it 2 spaces to the left. And then that is going to give us our part, which we want to look for the word is for that. Okay, so let's do a couple of examples here. Excuse me. So our percent, let's go ahead and color code that. Okay, 15. And now we have the word of, so that tells us that this is our whole. Okay, we're looking for that word. So this would be 60 times, and now 15% as a decimal, we're going to go ahead and move it to the left 2 times. So that would be 15 hundredths. So we're going to go ahead and multiply that by 0.15. And that's going to go ahead and give us whatever our part is. So for right now, we don't know what that is, so let's go ahead and put that as an X. Now we're going to go ahead and multiply these. So 60 times 0.15 gives us that this is equal to 9. And that would be our part. So 9 is 15% of 60. Okay, so take a second, think about how you would set this up here. Again, 36 is our percent of, excuse me, wrong color. Of tells us this is our whole. So 80, and again, 36%, we're going to move it twice to the left, which gives us 0.36. So we're going to multiply 80 by 0.36, and that's going to go ahead and give us what our part is. And we're just going to label that as X. Go ahead and multiply that out. And this would tell us that our part, or our X, is 28.8. Okay, let's look at number 3. So this is worded a little bit differently. It says, what is 22% of 45? So we know that this is our percent, and of 45 tells us that that's our whole or our original number. So we are still trying to find our part. So this would be 45 times, again, 22%. We're going to go ahead and move the decimal to the left twice. So times 0.22 or 22 hundredths. And that's going to equal X. Now we just multiply it out. 45 times 22 hundredths equals 9 9/10. So 9 9/10 is 22% of 45. Okay. You can again do this as a proportion. So we don't know what the part is or the is, so we're going to put X. 45 would go underneath. 22 would go on top. And 100 would go on bottom. We would then go ahead and cross multiply, so that would be 100x equals 45 times 22. So 100x would equal 990. Then we would go ahead, divide the 100 to both sides, and we would get that x equals 9 9/10. Okay, so either works on that. Okay, sometimes we may be given the part and the whole and we have to find the percent. So since this says 44 8/10 is, this is our part or our new number, and of tells us this is our whole. So what we're trying to find is our percent, so that's going to be left as a variable because we don't know what that is yet. So we're going to go ahead and set it up. 140 times x, because we don't know what that is yet, equals 44 8/10. Now we need to go ahead and solve for our x. So since we were multiplying, our inverse would be to divide. What we do to one side, we do to the other. And 44 8/10 divided by 140 gives us 0.32, which as a percent, we'd move it back to the decimal back to the right 2 spaces to tell us that that is 32%. You could have also used this with the proportion. Okay, so let's go ahead and cross this out. We're still going to do this one, but we're going to use the percent or the proportion. Okay, so again, the is 44.8. The of is 140, so that's going to go as our denominator. We do not know our percentage. We're going to go ahead and put 100 down below. So now we can go ahead and cross multiply, so this would be 140x, and this would be 44 8/10 times 100, so we would get 140x equals 4,480. We're going to go ahead and divide by 140 on both sides. And we would just get 32. We do not need to move the decimal because we automatically get our percentage out of this. So it would be 32%.